What is up, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to the first ever The Wrap Up, presented by Borderline Entertainment and hosted by me, Asa Green River. Now, I say that this is a new show, or did I say that? I honestly don't know. But this is a new show. New to a lot of you, but in actuality, it's not new. This show used to be called Wednesday Wrap Up. Started in 2019, ended in 2019. Hosted by me. I had a few co-hosts, Will, Sky, and a couple of others. But all in all, it was held into 2019. But it was a live show. You all got to be a part of it. But if anybody knows me and you've been following my content for a while, you know, A, life has been wild for me. And so things have just been kind of cattywampus. But then also B, my brain never stops and the ideas never stop flowing. So I knew that I wanted to bring the wrap up back. And so here we are. And the wrap up is covering entertainment news from the previous week. And we rank them: the apple, the onion, the banana, the muffin. What is the best news? What is the worst news? What's the funniest news? And what is my personal favorite? A couple of housekeeping bits before we jump right in. Number one, the show is brought to you by patrons. Patreon.com/borderline entertainment. Those of you who support on that site, bless your souls. Because if it wasn't for you, then this show and so many other things would not happen. Again, I've already said it, but life has been pretty wild for me. And because of that, the content's drip has been very slow. It legitimately has been a drip. And I just want to give a heartfelt thank you to those who are supporting. If you want to also support, you can. No pressure, but this is because of you patrons. Thank you. Also, second bit of housekeeping news. There's going to be zero editing done to this show. None. Like I said, I forgot to take out my gum. There's your first bit of unedited video. This show used to be live. And part of that live was you all got to be a part of the process. We were having a conversation while I am bringing these news bits and I am ranking them. We're talking about them together. So there's going to be times like this episode, this inaugural episode, where I'm pre-recording it and I'm putting it up. But in order to keep that live essence, and again, there will be episodes where they'll be live and I'll make sure that you know so you can be a part of them. I'm not going to edit the pre-recorded episodes. So any of the silences, the word flubs, the brain stops, whatever it is, they're going to stay in. So I hope that you appreciate that and accept that, and I thank you. And then last bit of housekeeping is that this is going to be a weekly news roundup. Weekly. I'm committing to it. Just like I said, if you follow me on twitch.tv/borderline entertainment, I am streaming each and every week. I will be doing this video series each and every week. Now, because life is wild, I have two very young children, a full-time job, and a whole host of other responsibilities. I'm not going to put it on a certain day, but I will tell you it's going to go up the weekend. So Friday to Sunday, you can expect this video to happen. I'm going to try to give you a heads up on when to expect that, or if it's going to be a live episode, let you know that too. So with that, let's dive right in with our Apple of the Week, the best item of entertainment news. And the Apple of the Week goes to Nintendo, which is something that I didn't think that I was going to say this year. No flack to Nintendo whatsoever, but being a Nintendo fan has its trials and tribulations, because Nintendo is, let's just say, quirky when it comes to what they want to deliver to their fans. We are the ones that we're going to buy Mega Man 2 5 different times on 5 different devices because they're not going to do cross-platform purchases. We're the ones that are going to continually, for some sick reason, wait direct after direct after direct after direct, waiting for that Wind Waker HD port to switch, which is never going to happen. But there are times when we do get good news from Nintendo. It happens. And believe it or not, we're going to be talking about this past Nintendo Direct that happened on February 8th, and they actually knocked it out of the park. I'm really surprised by this. The past few directs, I feel like they've been really all over the place for me. If I am picking some sort of grade to give them, like their C's, maybe B's average. This is A rank, if not S rank. There was probably a couple of announcements that didn't hit super home for me, but they still hit my household. And I wasn't like, I wasn't down on them. I might have been a little bit meh, but I wasn't down on them. This direct was literally pretty much wall to wall bangers. And yes, I am grading on a curve. The fact that we got Breath of the Wild 2, aka Tears of the Kingdom, and we got Metroid Prime Remaster. Okay, I know. Metroid Prime 4 was announced forever ago. We haven't heard any updates. There have been so many rumors about the Metroid Prime trilogy that's going to be coming out, and it still has not yet. But the fact that they did this, and I know I haven't had my finger on the pulse too heavy, but I feel like this was a massive surprise. At least what I've seen in my Twitter feeds and my own personal reaction, I was shocked to the point right now that I literally choked on my own spit. And here is the wonderful thing about the Nintendo Direct is that they always have at least one sort of surprise. And this easily was it. Now, like I said, there are a lot of great announcements. There are a lot of great surprises. But this Metro Prime, the fact that it also dropped that day digitally, it will be coming out physically later. But it did drop that day digitally. People immediately downloading it. It's only $40. Please go buy this game. It's easily one of the best. I'm not going to say first person shooters because it's like a first person adventure game, not like a traditional Call of Duty or Halo shooter. But it is more like a remake. Like there are so many aspects of this game, both visually, sound design, and control wise, that feel brand new. And okay, so enough about Metroid. I could easily talk about that all day. Let's talk about the rest of the Direct and the things that we saw that came out that were announced. So yes, we know Metroid Prime, Tears of the Kingdom. They started off with Pikmin 4, which I have not always been the biggest Pikmin fan, but I do appreciate it for what it is. And I will say that this trailer makes me want to go back and play all of the other games in their entirety. And they did re-release Pikmin 3 on the Nintendo Switch, so you can go play that Wii U port. And I heard that is very good. I personally have played only snippets of each game. But like I said, I'm still very excited about this. Other big announcements that came out of this Direct, man, where do we start? First of all, Professor Layton is coming back. That's pretty freaking unreal. We also got to see Fantasy Life is coming back. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 getting another DLC, and not just any DLC, but it looks like Shulk from Xenoblade Chronicles 1 is coming, which is like, I don't know if anyone else saw that. I personally did not. I haven't finished Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but this easily makes me want to kick it into high gear. Advance Wars 1 and 2. We're finally getting Reboot Camp coming out. It was supposed to come out last year. Obviously, with the issues happening with Ukraine and Russia, that was pulled from the release. Now we're finally getting that game. Man, literally, my mouth is probably going to go dry just talking about all of these. I highly recommend that you go back and you watch this Direct because we also got to see some new games, at least new to some folks. Seeing a game like Sea of Stars, that's been on my personal radar. But if you didn't back it on Kickstarter and you didn't follow them on social media, you might not know about this old school JRPG inspired game that looks phenomenal. Looking at an IP like Samba de Amigo coming out with Party Central, revitalizing a franchise that we didn't expect to see. Seeing Splatoon 3 getting a DLC that I personally, again, this is the theme of this whole Direct, is these big shocks and surprises coming that you didn't see. This is easily one of those. Seeing the fact that you're going to go back to the original plaza from Splatoon 1, seeing the original girls there, some of the original vendors. This is incredible. And it's not just like a cheaply done thing. It's something where you are actually able to go in and make this, like Inkopolis is going to be able to be your new home location. You can go back and forth, obviously, between the two. But then they didn't stop there. There was also a tease of another story DLC coming to Splatoon 3. Like, they didn't slow down with these announcements. We Love Katamari, Fashion Dreamer, Tales of Symphonia, Have a Nice Death, Tron Identity, If you know me and you care about me in any regard, you know that I am personally a huge Tron fan. And the fact that we're getting not just one, we're getting at least two different Tron games. This one was announced. It's going to be hitting the Switch first. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And if you are signing up for the online services for Nintendo Online, like you're going to be getting Game Boy, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. Now, again, some of these are going to be standard Nintendo Switch Online. Some of these are going to be expansion pack only. But the fact that these are coming, we've been waiting nonstop. I can finally go back and finish Minish Cap, and you can too. And there are just so many amazing games. Last year, we got the Nintendo 64, we got the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and they don't slow down with this. And I think that this is a great way to get these old titles back into people's hands without making us having to spend money on the eShop again and again and again. Like I said, I can go on and on about this Nintendo Direct, but hands down, phenomenal job. Thank you so much, Nintendo, for kicking out of the park and subverting those expectations. And congratulations on winning the Apple of the Week, the best story and entertainment news. But not all news is good news. We're going to switch to the Onion of the Week, the worst in entertainment news. And that goes to Disney. Disney is another one of those things where you don't expect to always get bad news. Of course, you tend to see their interesting decisions when it comes to like Star Wars and Marvel when they change from source material or they take things in a completely new direction. But when it comes to their own stuff, right? Like things are typically okay. Like it's not that big of a deal. But bringing back franchises, adding in new entries when they already had like this finale or the entry before it wasn't that great, let it go. Let it go. So this article is coming from CNET.com, written by Jennifer Bissett and Sean Keane. And here we go. Okay. Disney CEO Bob Iger announces more sequels in the animation franchises. We're talking Toy Story, Frozen, and Zootopia. Now, let me start with that last one. Zootopia getting a sequel, that's great. Zootopia was a phenomenal film. It easily could have stood on its own, but I think getting a sequel is great. I believe, and I could be wrong, it didn't get a show, but it did get Zootopia Plus, which was like, just like some additional things like a Zootopia 0.5. But getting Zootopia 2, I think that's great. Let's go into Frozen, okay? Seeing Frozen 3 be announced when I personally don't think that Frozen 2 was good. Frozen 1 is a classic. Let it go. We all know that. Frozen 2, at least for me, and I know maybe a few others, let me know in the comments below, fell incredibly flat. The story was all over the place. Yes, some of the music was good, but it didn't capture that same magic. But now we're getting a third one. Disney, you gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. And I think, by and large, what gets me the most is this. Toy Story 5 is in development. Okay, when Toy Story 3 happened, that felt like a fitting end. When Toy Story 4 was announced, I was very, very skeptical, but it turned out to be a great send-off. And now you find that they're digging 6 feet under, they're pulling Toy Story back out of the dirt and putting it back into theaters. It's a speechless kind of moment for me. It doesn't feel like it needs to happen. Lightyear was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed Lightyear. I liked the direction that they took. I think if they would have done maybe something like that, but maybe do it for Woody or one of the other toys, sure, that would be awesome. But another mainline Toy Story movie, Toy Story 5, it just isn't. I'm sure that they're going to pull it off. And hopefully we don't have a Frozen 2 situation where it's so polarizing. And maybe I'm wrong. Please, again, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it wasn't polarizing. But I just don't feel like this is a good decision. And seeing all of these, or now excluding Zootopia, but seeing these two big franchises continuing to be drug out, give us new ideas. Like, give us new IPs. Pixar is so talented. Turning Red was incredible. Encanto. I know that wasn't necessarily Pixar, but still, like, we're talking about your animation. Like, give us these new experiences and these new movies. Leave Toy Story alone. Leave Frozen alone. If you want to do a side story, fine. Do something unique like Lightyear. But this easily, sorry, Disney, you do get the onion of the week, the worst story in entertainment news. But enough of the bad. Enough of the bad. Let's jump over to the banana of the week, the funniest story in entertainment news. And that goes to DC. Let's just say DC and Warner Brothers together. So if you missed it last week, I guess at this point, and maybe I'm cheating a little bit when it comes to these news topics. This is probably closer to 2 weeks ago, but so James Gunn did this whole thing similar to a Nintendo Direct, where they're really laying out the plan for the DCU. There's been a lot of skepticism as we've seen all these projects being canceled and shut down. Henry Cavill coming back, Henry Cavill being kicked out. Everybody, at least on the DC side, I feel like has so much whiplash when it comes to the movie franchises. Animation, great. Gaming, for the most part, great. But on the silver screen, it's been such a toss-up. And now we're finding out that the movies that are already slated, those are still going to come out, but they are going to be their own thing. Right? They're going to be in the Snyderverse, or like the old DCEU. Now we have the DCU, and this is going to be their MCU. They've got this whole big plan. They laid it out. James Gunn came on and was talking about their plan with these movies and shows as well, and animation, and how they're going to keep these actors consistent. So the actors that you hear on the animation projects are going to reprise their roles in the live action, and I think that's really cool. The fact that we're going to see TV stories interweave with movies, that's amazing. We've seen that Marvel's been pulling that off incredibly well. And I think for the most part, a lot of the stories that they have talked about, that James Gunn talked about, are going to be great stories that we want to see. The fact that they're not all going to be just like the basic heroes that we all know and love from the DC universe, that we're going to see characters like Swamp Thing. We're going to see Amanda Waller. Like, they're getting their own series, and that is so freaking cool. And the fact that we're going to see a younger Superman, that we're going to see Brave and the Bold, that we're going to see Batman. Probably one of my personal favorite announcements was the Green Lantern show. It's going to be like Space Cops. That's going to have Hal Jordan. It's going to have Jon Stewart working together. That is probably my personal favorite. But within all of this, James Gunn is going on this press tour, and he's talking so much crap about previous DC projects, about how it was trash, that there's no consistent vision. They have to use this Flash movie to be a jumping off point to essentially let the past movies live and still be connected and not be completely thrown away, but to shift into a new universe, a new existence. The fact that they're making James Gunn their Kevin Feige, right? Like they're making James Gunn the head of all of these projects, and this is the guy that they chose, and this guy is just ripping apart everything they have done prior to him. I mean, giving props to James Gunn, he's always been one of those people who just he marches to the beat of his own drummer. He's doing his own thing, and that's to anybody's benefit or demise. And the fact that these execs were so bent out of shape is pretty freaking hilarious. Now, this particular article does come from Screen Rant, written by Philippi Rangel, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing. But James Gunn and Peter Safran were a little too honest with their DC Comics during the DCU slate announcement, reportedly upsetting a lot of Warner Brothers, Discovery, sorry, I know that they combined, the WBD executives. Those comments during that ruffled a lot of feathers. James Gunn and Safran, while they are the new heads, again, they're going to the beat of their own drum. They're doing their own thing, and they were very, very blunt about those past topics, and really not just upset, but angered some of those past executives. Now, Screen Rant also jumps in here talking about how that slant could also be, affirming that, movies like Batgirl, which was cut and pulled, was not releasable. That there was just, not only was there really no direction, but that these movies were just bad, that they were not good, and that they were essentially a waste of money, and they're going to be rewriting history. So me personally, I realize that this might be a little bit of a cynical take, but I do think that this is worth the banana, that this is the funniest thing. The fact that these guys that they have hired to lead their whole new initiative to bring in all of this new revenue are just completely dumping on everything they've done in the past. Bravo. Those WB executives can never get anything right, between flopping the Justice League or anything else, and now they're literally, their new spearheads are throwing them under the bus. That's hilarious. But okay, the cynic aside, congratulations DC, James Gunn. You get the banana of the week, the funniest news and entertainment news. We're jumping over to the muffin, our last award, and this is the deliciousest. This is my personal favorite, and this is going to the Grammys. Now, typically when it comes to the Grammys, I'm not always on their side, because they make some pretty crappy decisions when it comes to excuse me, non-white people and their awards. Good gosh, I am so sorry. I'm not going to edit it. But one thing that I do want to applaud them for, and this is why it's my personal favorite, the muffin of the week, gaming is more and more coming into that mainstream. I think the Game Awards and the DICE Awards and BAFTAs and all of those are great, and we need to have them. They're important for the industry, but there is still so much stigma around gaming, right? There are so many, even though the video game industry pulls in more money than, I believe it's movies and music combined, or maybe it's movies and TV combined. But either way, it is the largest revenue source. But it's still not taken seriously. If you're an adult and you play video games, you're looked down upon. So to see recognition from the Grammys, an established awards organization, doing music and the music industry, pulling in video games and to be a part of that. Now, it was the recording Grammys, but still it was a part of the process. Them now having a whole category that, to be fair, isn't just video games, but it's best score soundtrack in video games or interactive media. Props to them. I hope to see this in the main show, but I think it's just really exciting. If you didn't watch it, you can definitely go back and watch the acceptance speech, and that was by Stephanie Okonomu. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, but she did go up there and accept the award for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, for, again, winning that best score and soundtrack in video games and other interactive media. Now, we're talking about another game that, while I have not played Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because it wasn't for me, I have played other Assassin's Creed games. And like many people, Assassin's Creed music is so much a part of the experience. And the music is also one of those things that is very memorable. You have those music tones when you're being chased in the stealth scenes and the cinematics, and so to see Assassin's Creed win, it feels very fitting. Very happy to have that be kind of the kickoff. Now, they announced this was going to be happening, they announced it last year, but here we are, in the category. Yeah, so I know I said it's my favorite, and now I can't get the words out, but it's just, I'm really, really happy to see video games coming into their own and entering in more of the mainstream. But congratulations to all of our winners, to the apple of the week, to the onion of the week, the muffin, and the banana. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you all for watching this video. I know it was a little rough, and like I said, I'm not going to edit it because I want it to be real and I want to just relax and have fun. But thank you again so much. I appreciate you watching. If you could, please like this video, comment down below. What are your thoughts? What should have been the best news? What should have been the worst? What should have been the funniest? And what was your personal favorite news topic and entertainment news for the past week? I hope to see you next week. Make sure you stay tuned on all social media. You can follow me personally at @greenriver on Twitter, and that's where I'll be talking about if the show is going to be live or not. But again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Be well, Borderline family, and we'll see you next time.